I'd like to cover what I say is 10 points in about 15 minutes. And those 10 points would be, I'll cover 6 myths and realities. I'll also address 3 questions that were submitted in advance, and I'll point out some reference material for you around this topic. In general, I would say the goal of my segment here is if I could convey 2 facts to you, and if for some of these myths I make you pause, say, maybe I'm a little guilty of that, it's been a successful segment for me. Ultimately, all of these myths are part of a white paper that my firm put together. There's a few more myths in there, but I wanted to carve out the 6 that I thought would be most appropriate to this audience today. Just a little background on Hess. Hess is a Fortune 100 company. We're based with our headquarters in the East Coast, and we've been serving customers for over 75 years. For both electricity, natural gas, fuel oil, green, and energy efficiency solutions, we have over 22,000 customers, predominantly commercial and industrial, in 22 states. My role at Hess, I'm the Director of Gas Operations for their retail side. I've also spent time on our electric desk with our oil traders and for many years doing sales. So I think I have a pretty good sense of what customers experience and consider as they look for energy. So I'll jump into the myths and realities. The very first myth: suppliers offer essentially the same services and options. This might apply to someone who is very comfortable with their current supplier, the products they take, or when they begin their shopping purchases for the first time, say when they move from the utility as a supplier, they don't really shop around for a partner. The reality is that services can vary greatly depending on the type of partner you choose. On the next slide, I'll show you the types of people with whom you could interact on this, but I think the key is to understand when you partner with anyone, what is their motivation and how are they oriented? So to do that, I recommend that you understand their value proposition, their business model, and their revenue model, how they make money. And I want to throw a little caveat in here that often because buyers are looking for a commodity, electricity, energy, green, something that is otherwise fungible, sometimes they rank service a little lower than I would expect. But in the end, things happen from time to time, and personally I would want a company who has service as a value that they put forth. Things like that might be, how do they manage billing concerns? Do they have call centers? If there are special products, if you're allowed to, I'll throw out a technical term, if you're allowed to trigger certain volumes, how do they handle that for you? Do you have online access to your accounts? So getting into a little more detail about the type of players in this space, people that would help companies procure their energy supply, there are 5. The utility, a full-service marketer, a discount marketer, a consultant, and a broker. Now, I'm not speaking disparagingly against any of them. They all have a role. They all offer value. They all are able to make money themselves. But I want to stress the point that it's important you understand their orientation. I'll quickly cover their value proposition. By that I mean, what do they offer to you, the energy buyer? I'll cover their business model. How do they organize themselves? Where do they put their resources? What are their strategies? And then the third column, I talk about their revenue source. How do they make money? For utilities, in a lot of markets, the utilities are a default supplier of your commodity, electricity or natural gas. That is, they will find the molecules or the electrons and they will bring them to their local perimeter and distribute them to your building. But the truth is utilities are a distribution company. What they care about, where they make their money, their rate of return, is on the local pipes and wires. They're indifferent towards how they procure your supply. And to that end, because they have mechanisms to get, if they make errors, they have mechanisms to recover that in the tariff. Typically for commercial industrial customers, this would not be how you want to procure your energy. Next is a full service marketer. Here you have people that offer competitive supply, they have many products, deep knowledge in markets, regulations, and legal aspects. their model is direct acquisition. And by that I mean they have feet on the street, they do business with customers hand to hand, and their goal is to have high retention. And typically with high retention, it's slightly lower margins than other business models. Also, the business model for a full-service marketer is they make margin as a residual. In other words, they build a very small fee into the price that customers pay, and that's how they capture it. Also, in order to ensure supply, they may procure assets. Maybe it's storage for natural gas, or they do a deal with a generator to ensure electric supply, and then they can optimize around that. Discount marketers are similar, but they don't have the deep expertise in markets and regulation typically. They might have a smaller product set. And I look at discount marketers as more around having really strong marketing, offering shorter term price specials to customers, because their model is a little bit more of a high churn model for customers via mass marketing and mass acquisition. They also would do margin as a residual. They build something into the prices that go out the door. Some customers in here, I want to point out a technicality that can happen sometimes. If someone is in a 12-month deal where they understand clearly what the price is, when that term extends and they go on to what is an auto-renew price, depending on the person supplying you that energy, that might not be the most reflective price that the market is offering. So you want to be careful about your auto-renew prices. Consultants are very valuable in this space. They offer different strategies. They typically have knowledge about the energy markets, but also the customer's industry and what best practices are occurring there. Similar to full-service marketers, they're about direct relationship with customers, high retention, and they make their money as a residual on the deal or a flat fee that's up front. Brokers, also important in this space. Their real value is connecting the suppliers and the customers. And they can have a mix of knowledge. I've seen from experience some brokers are able to do this as a full-time job. Others might have transitioned from similar industries, say a mortgage brokers, into an energy broker. The important part is you just understand who you're dealing with. The second myth is that prices are essentially the same across suppliers. Reality is that the offers you see and the terms you experience, they can differ widely among suppliers. This comes down very simply apples to apples. Be careful that the price you're receiving at the time of your offer, the sticker price, is going to match the final bill price. And to that end, I would demand transparency from the bidders. I'd really want to understand what components are in a price. Similarly, if you engage a consultant or a broker to help you with your process, you'll demand the same of them. Help them ensure each of the underlying components in your supply are the same. Also, and this is an area that can also be overlooked, the contract terms. Contracts are only required when things go sideways. If you use more than your contract volume, how is that handled? All of these markets, they're evolving from a regulatory point of view. If there's a change in law, how is that covered? What you're looking for is a fair and balanced share of those risks. Quickly, I'd like to give you a case study of something that exists in the market. Two hypothetical companies, Upfront Energy Company and another Shady Energy Company. This is a customer that would be bidding for electricity. And you can see way down on the bottom of the slides, third from the last, there's a line called unit cost. So for Upfront Energy Company,